everyone, and welcome to our first ever Monday morning live. I'm sure this one will go without a hitch, but we never know, it might never work. It's really great to be with you with this new exciting project. Monday morning is a hard morning for us all, but over the next few weeks we're going to try and bring you some roundup of some news, some events, some good news stories, with a little bit of time of prayer at the end of each Monday morning. We'll be joined by some special guests over the next few weeks, and we want to feature your news too, so don't forget, send it in. We'll mention that later on. So just to say hi, I'm Sandy, and this is...
I'm Sophie.
And of course we are both part of the Shrewsbury Youth Mission team. It's great to have you with us this morning.
So this week we'll be sharing some news from the church around the world and some from here in our own diocese too. We'll also be taking a look at the gospel message we heard in Mass yesterday and how it's going to influence us in this coming week. And finally, we'll be sharing a time of prayer and reflection together. And we're really glad that you're here to join us today. So let's begin.
I'm loving the new music. I just found it last week, and it's such a catchy little theme tune there for our Monday morning live. So the best thing is that Sophie's actually never even heard the music. It's one of those things that we get it at this end, you hear it there, but that Sophie actually doesn't. But she'll be jazzing onto it later on. So over the next couple of weeks, we're hoping to bring you some roundup of some of the news that's been going on in the world, both not just in the world, but in our diocese too. We can't deny it that these times have been really strange. Churches closed across the country, across the world. Pope Francis stood in the square on his own. Strange times. But also, I think one of the things we can't deny is that we've reached out to the masses as well. The churches might be closed, but the people were still there. And I think that's one of the most important things for us, really. And I suppose we're going to just talk about how people have been engaging in their faith during lockdown.
So I was asking around some friends to see if they'd been doing anything in particular to engage with their faith, especially while we've been stuck at home, not doing our normal routine. And some of you may remember Catherine, who used to work with the youth mission team, and she shared with us some pictures of her family watching Mass on the TV during lockdown. So everyone loves a cute baby picture, and this is Michael. So Catherine said that faith in lockdown has been strange. It's strange tuning into Mass rather than being there in person. We've always taken our son, who's now 13 months old, with us to Mass, so it's important to include him in our faith and Mass routine in lockdown. We use the same Mass bag, which has his Bible storybooks at home. We celebrate feast days at home and have joined virtual pilgrimages to Lourdes and Lourdes. Our faith was central to our lives before lockdown, and it's important to keep it at the centre during.
I suppose for me, Sophie, one of the things that I hadn't considered was like a baby. Like, you train them to go to Mass, don't you? You take the little bag, you take the books and everything. But that child's like well out of train now. It's having to go to Mass on the TV.
Yeah, we've been watching Mass on the TV at home too. It's been nice to be able to tune into our own parish here, but also we've been able to choose which daily Mass we've been able to go to as well. And my husband's family live in America, so especially during Easter, which was the strangest Easter ever, watching everything at home, but we were actually able to go to Mass with our family in America because we were able to watch the same one at the same time. So it did mean staying up very late to watch all the Good Friday services, but that was a really nice thing for us to be able to do.
I mean, you mentioned Easter. Easter seems like such a long time ago now.
Mm-hmm. It's been a long time here.
But one of the things I love, my two grands are both in their 80s, and they've both managed to get onto social media and onto church TV and that sort of thing. My gran loves the fact that she can watch Mass. It sometimes takes her 5 hours because she falls asleep halfway through. She can pause it and start again. I think it'll be really strange for us going back to church Like
Yeah, I
we've got
think
so used to sitting in our front lounge watching mass. It's going to be strange.
yeah, I was still getting used to the fact that I could watch mass in my pajamas. So I have been trying to make the effort to get up and put a proper church outfit on to watch mass rather than just in my slippers with a cup of tea.
And I think we can't deny that it's different. It's not the same. There's something different about being in the church.
Yeah, definitely. It has been quite sad not to be able to join with our parish and the community that we have at our churches. That's really strange to be distant from them in this time, but it has been really great to see the way that different communities have been reaching out, helping the parishioners that haven't been able to get out. I know we've seen stories of young people who have been doing the shopping or collecting medicines for people, obviously safely, with the help of their parents as well, and that's been really great to see.
I mean, I had a great chance to chat to some of the young people from Romley, the Young Caritas group there, and they're actually they're delivering newsletters for the parish. So actually reaching out to those who don't have social media and actually delivering the newsletter through the door, I think it's brilliant.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think it's also we've found a new way of being at the minute, a new way of being community, and I think that the hope is that will continue forever now.
Yeah, not just in the churches, but I know just on our road here, we'd barely talk to people on our street before lockdown happened. And then especially when it was VE Day, everybody on my street put their garden furniture into their front gardens, and everyone had their own little family parties in their front gardens, but everyone was chatting and people were like putting cakes in the middle of the road for another family to come and pick up and take to their garden and things. And we've really got to know people on our street who might need our help, who we can reach out to, and getting to know them has been really nice.
It's that reaching out to community as well, isn't it? It's so important. And I think that's for us, that's what church really is. It's the community coming together. And I know we've now started to open some of our churches in a safe manner. They are very different. And myself and Father Chris mentioned that on the Clergy Cafe a couple of weeks ago, how different things might look, or maybe communion's now not where it should be, but it's actually at the end of Mass. And I was watching the live stream from the cathedral the other day as well, and they're doing the same thing, that communion is actually at the end of Mass, and there's some very physical differences that we see. But I think it's fair to say that there's been a few priests who have maybe struggled slightly with the whole live stream. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I've seen a few videos on Facebook and YouTube of priests that might not have got the Zoom and live streaming down as well as you, Sandy.
So we're just going to just show you this one now.
Buonasera, ci ritroviamo insieme per pregare, io in chiesa e voi a casa. Oggi è venerdì di Quaresima e vogliamo pregare con la Via Crucis e la benedizione. Buonasera, ci ritroviamo insieme per pregare.
He's clearly had the filters turned on in that video, hasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, we have to say that priest is not from Shrewsbury Diocese. He's not from this country. We're not picking on any of our priests. It's just a funny one that we found online, but we've definitely upped our Zoom calls and FaceTimes with family and friends. So I'm sure that the clergy have been getting to grips with live streaming and filming too.
And it's incredible. I mean, some priests have been sat saying Mass to computers, and there's been 2 or 3 computers, so that they're actually live streaming on different platforms in different places, and it's incredible how the technology has really come on, and how some priests have really done really well with it in the long run.
It's really great that people are able to tune in to what they want to and still keep. It's been nice to have something to cling on to that's part of our normal routine, is either weekly or daily Mass or the different devotions that parishes do. That's been really nice to join our parish there.
It really is. It's a special place when you can go to your own parish as well. And I've had some interesting phone calls from priests going, "How does this work? What do I do here? How do I press that?" But they've got there in the end, haven't they?
Yeah. And I know that Pope Francis has really been trying to speak out and reach out to people during this pandemic as well. And that's really great to see. Our leader of the church is telling people to reach out and help others. And he's also written the opening to a book on finding hope in the midst of the pandemic, which I don't know about you, but at times that can be really hard, is to find hope in this situation, especially when everything is so samey and the news is so sad and we don't really hear much good news at the moment. And here's an extract of what the Pope has said. The crisis, he said, has shown us that, especially in times of need, we depend on our solidarity with others. In a new way, it is inviting us to place our lives at the service of others. It should make us aware of global injustice and wake us up to the cry of the poor and of our gravely diseased planet. Just seen there is that was filmed way back in March, I think. I forget the date now, but it was right as the world was starting to stay home and shut down. And Pope Francis normally only does those blessings twice a year, maybe 3 times on very special occasions. But he wanted to do that at the beginning to show people that he was standing with us all. He was at his home as well in the Vatican, and he wanted to pray for us in particular and for an end to the pandemic. And that was a really moving moment for a lot of people to see the Pope stood in St. Peter's Square that's normally so packed full of people, and he was stood there by himself praying for all of us at home.
I mean, it was quite an incredible moment, really, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. It was so powerful to watch. The fact that Pope Francis stood there with nobody in the square.
I mean, a lot of people will have been to Rome before, and you don't go and see the Vatican that quiet ever. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's ever been that quiet, especially not when I've been, not even when you go at 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. And to see somebody like Pope Francis, who himself will have had to shield and be very careful about going out at the moment, standing there and making that statement of, I want to stand with the people, and I'm going to do it in the way that we can at the moment.
That moment took me back to Madrid, World Youth Day. The field was horrific. It was one of my most incredible experiences ever. But it was Pope Benedict then who stood there, and as these gales were blowing, the Blessed Sacrament tents were falling down. There was screens moving. Oh, it was horrific. And Pope Benedict just said, "We'll stay," and he told all the bishops to stay as well. These bishops were like ready to go. Right, let's get off of here. And Pope Benedict, I keep saying Francis, Pope Benedict just simply said, "My young people are here, so I'll stay." And it took me back to that moment as well, with Pope Francis. But we're going to move on now and talk a bit about what's happening in this country. And obviously, at this minute in time, we should be in Lourdes. We should be sat there. We should be with hundreds of young people from our diocese and people from across the country travelling to Lourdes. So we thought we'd share some of our experience of Lourdes. So Sophie, tell us a bit about your experience. And I'm going to show some pictures as well as you're doing this. Sophie does look young, but she's never changed a bit, that's for sure. So Sophie, tell us a bit about your experience of Lourdes.
So I first went to Lourdes 10 years ago now. So one of the pictures you'll see of me is my very first pilgrimage to Lourdes, but like Sandy says, I pretty much look the same. So yeah, I went first 10 years ago, and I wasn't really sure what to expect. I just knew that my name had been on the Lourdes list pretty much since I was born, because my godmother actually runs one of the Lourdes groups. So I just knew that as soon as I turned 17, I would be on the Lourdes trip. But when I got to Lourdes, I was really surprised by what it was. I'd heard stories. A lot of girls from my school had been, And it was hard work. I wasn't really prepared for the amount of physical and emotional effort that you have to put into a Lourdes pilgrimage. You know, you're working with people all day, you're pushing wheelchairs, pushing the voitures, you're on the shift in the hospital, cleaning the floors and making people cups of tea, and then listening to their stories of what people have to say about their experiences. But even though it's a lot of hard work, at the end of the day, you're the most tired you've ever been, but you're also like the most fulfilled that you've ever been, because you've literally poured yourself out, like Pope Francis was saying, you've poured yourself out for service of others, and you can only gain from doing that. So I've been to Lourdes most years since 2010 in lots of different roles, as a pilgrim, as a volunteer, as a team leader. And then most recently with the youth mission team, which is a completely different experience as going as a volunteer. But it's really great now to say that as part of my job, I get to go to Lourdes and journey with all of the young people, and to really see how Lourdes can be life-changing, not just for the assisted pilgrims and the VIPs, as we call them, but for the young people that go and help as well. It's a really special place, and I've really missed that post-mass pizza and orangina at the Carrefour this week. When it was sunny yesterday, I couldn't help but think that I wish I was sat with a pizza and an orangina with my friends right now. I have really missed that community, the family that Lourdes brings together.
I do think we've definitely missed being in Lourdes this year. I mean, for me, I've never been to Lourdes with the same group twice. I've only been to Lourdes 4 times. My first time, I think I was 17 when I first went, and I first went with HCPT at Easter, and that was a phenomenal experience. That sense of community, of being with this group. My second time I went was with with a school group. We took a trip, and it was a school trip to Lourdes, but we did the whole sort of mishmash of the pilgrimage alongside the go to the beach and that sort of thing, and it was really fun. We managed to take 50 odd young people who had never experienced from Liverpool to Lourdes to experience this, and it was great journeying with them. What was really special in that one was when we were not doing the Lourdes bits, they were talking about the Lourdes bits. So it was always going through their heads, it was always going through their minds what was actually going on. Then I had an experience of going with the Southern Pilgrimages out to Lourdes as well, and I was one of the youth leaders then. And then of course last year with the diocese. Lourdes is an incredible experience for everybody that goes. You're never quite sure what you're going to get next, and I just think it's soul destroying that we're not there this year, but I think the one thing for sure is that it's going to be bigger and better next year.
Yeah, definitely. And one of the pictures that was just shown there, we talk about the Lourdes family, and one of the pictures there you saw my auntie in a wheelchair, and she actually passed away last year, and we were able to go to Lourdes with her and care for her in the hospital. She was there with Newcastle Diocese, we were there with Shrewsbury Diocese at the same time. And what I love about Lourdes is that I probably would have seen my auntie maybe 4 times a year, but one of those would have been in Lourdes. And even though our friends and family might actually live quite close to us, we all end up in Lourdes at the same time. So somebody might live just in Stockport, but you're more likely to see them in Lourdes and spend time with them there. And it's not just like your normal hanging out, we're all there for the same reason. Our Lady's called us to Lourdes to serve others and journey together, which is really, really special. And because of not being able to travel there this year, the Shrewsbury team didn't want us to miss out on the Lourdes feeling. So we've all been invited to the online pilgrimage. So hopefully you've seen lots of different parts of the online pilgrimage so far. But Sandy, how have you found being part of that online virtual Lourdes pilgrimage?
It's been incredible, it really has. What's been really interesting is to see how many people have actually taken part in it. And if you look at the YouTube channel, you just see all those little numbers going up and up and up. And the benefit is it's always going to be there as well. So if you haven't had a chance to have a look at it yet, have a look at the Shrewsbury Hospitality YouTube channel, and you've got everything there. I'm going to share with you in a second a highlight. Now, it might be classed as being a bit selfish because it was one that we did. But for me, when you look at the whole thing that's been produced, it's the number of people. And I think that's what is the essence of Lourdes. It's the people coming together. If you look at the different services that have been done, from the blessing of the sick to the lighting of the candle. There are so many different people involved. And I'm just going to share with you a quick video, and it was actually part of our youth liturgy from Friday. And if you haven't already watched it, have a look on YouTube. It's down below us somewhere here, but also it's available on the Hospitality YouTube channel as well. But this is an interview that Tom, one of the team, did with Liam and Michael, his best friends, and they share a bit of their experience about Lourdes. And I think what it captures is incredible. It's them being very honest, very open about their Lourdes experience, and I think it really does capture the essence of Lourdes.
Hey everyone, hope you're enjoying Lourdes Live so far. In this next section, we are going to be talking to some regular Lourdes attendees, also to my two close friends, best friends. Liam, if you'd like to give us a wave, and Michael, if you'd like to give us a wave. Brilliant. So now these two are actually going to Lourdes in tomorrow. So by the time this is out, it'll be nice and they'll be nice and tucked away, enjoying themselves over in France. But yeah, it'll be dead exciting for them to do that. But on the topic of Lourdes, I'm going to be asking you a few questions about your experience, what your impression, and maybe even some challenges that you faced in Lourdes. But first off, so in 2017, that was my first time going. But when was your first time going to Lourdes, and what impressions did it give you?
I think all of our first times was in 2017 actually, and the first impression I had of Lourdes was I think it was overwhelming. There were so many people around, and the way Lourdes is, there's so many side streets and small streets packed with people visiting. There's really a buzz about the place, I think, that you don't really get anywhere else. I think it is a place which is really exciting the first time you go, but you're also tired as soon as you get there. So there's that kind of balance of you get the buzz, but you're also tired, and so it can almost be too much when you first get there, especially for the first time.
Yeah, I was going to say 24 hours in a coach is not pleasant.
No, it was not.
But once you're there, you settle in fine. Yeah, I'd agree with you, Michael. The size of it's just amazing. Like, there's so many people there. It's ridiculous. I think I had in my head this, you hear the story of Bernadette and the grotto. I think that's just what I had in my head. This, this tiny little grotto in the middle of nowhere. But obviously it's all been built around it. So I'd agree the scale of it, like how busy it is. But I really like as well how you can go in, you can go into the domain and just chill, and it's really peaceful.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's so important having the whole thing of like, it's definitely got that buzz, but it's a really cool buzz. And it's like definitely like nice and busy, but it's full of so many cool people. But yeah, following on with what Michael said about being tired, I know definitely like sometimes after a long shift or a long day pulling VIPs around, which is the best, by the way. I definitely was a bit tired and I struggled in the morning. But I want to ask you, what challenges have you faced in Lourdes? So it could be silly or it could not be silly.
Yeah, you spent every spare minute napping, didn't you? It can be mentally like quite tough. If you're on the hospital at 7 o'clock, you're up at 6. Well, depending on how fast you want to run, whether you're having breakfast or not. No, I'm joking. But that can be tough. That can be tough. Kind of going to bed knowing that you've got to get up at so early. But once you're up and like once you're there, and you find your pilgrim that you're helping and you settle in, introduce yourself. The rest of the day just flies by. So I don't find Lourdes that challenging. I just think it's so rewarding to help them that you kind of brush off those challenges. I don't know what you think, Michael.
I think Lourdes is challenging personally. I think for everybody, I mean, it's echoing points before. Sleep is the easily the toughest part of Lourdes. Most of the times when you're on holiday, you're kind of used to, but Lourdes isn't a holiday. But sometimes when you go for the first time, you almost treat it, you think, oh, it's going to be like a holiday, and it's really not. The amount of sleep that you're getting is very little. So even though you have drive and motivation, like you want to get up, you want to help, it's still difficult. And also food, again, when you're tired, you might sacrifice like eating breakfast for, getting extra sleep, and I'm a vegetarian, so trying to find any food that I can eat in Lourdes is it's hard to come by. But those are to me the two big challenges in Lourdes for me: sleep and getting enough of the right food.
And so, the rest of that interview is available on our YouTube channel or on the Hospitality YouTube channel. I encourage you to go and watch it, because some of the lads' insight into Lourdes is incredible. Even just little things there, like vegetarians. Like we heard with Father Michael last week, vegetarians really struggle in Lourdes. It's really hard for them sometimes. But I just think some of the stuff that we've encountered this week in the virtual pilgrimage has been incredible. It's been people being really honest. Some of the liturgies have been spectacular. So I would really, really, really encourage you to watch it. If you haven't already done so, look back on YouTube. Everything's there, and that's the beauty of YouTube. It'll be there forever. So have a look at it, and I really would encourage that.
Yeah, today is the final full day of the virtual pilgrimage. So like Sandy said, if you've not taken part already, then why don't you go onto the Shrewsbury Lourdes Hospitality YouTube, or there's lots of links on our Facebook page and Instagram page and Twitter, so you can find it. You can dip in and out of whatever you're able to, catch up at a later time. And Bishop Mark has already streamed Mass from the Cathedral this morning, and there's been messages from the hospitality team. And coming up later today, there are Stations of the Cross and a Holy Hour.
So yeah, do go for it. Do follow it. Just so you know, there's also a live lounge at 8 o'clock tonight. So feel free to get yourselves over to the website, shrewsburylourdes.com, or Facebook, or the YouTube channel as well. But we're just going to finish this little section on Lourdes with a little video, aren't we, Sophie?
Yeah, so the torchlight procession is a really special highlight for lots of pilgrims. So we managed to find a little video online. Now, I love the hotel that they're in at the beginning. I've never stayed in a hotel that fancy in Lourdes before. That is not the Florida. But it's a really nice, it captures the essence of what the torchlight procession is and why it's so special for a lot of people.
Ta nouvelle retraite. Merci. Oh, les nouvelles, elle est ancienne quand même. Des journées comme aujourd'hui. Bon appétit.
I think for everybody, the torchlight procession is an absolutely phenomenal experience, and the lads before, they even talk about the torchlight procession, how they've been able to see it from above, not just in it. I think that the experience of being above and being in it is very different.
Yeah, it's such a nice time when everybody comes together, like not just from our diocese, but you really experience like the world family of the church, hearing everyone in different languages, and you walk alongside people with different flags and different t-shirts, and it's just a really worldwide church experience.
I love it. It's one of my favourites. It definitely is. But today we're going to close our time together with just a few moments of prayer. Over the last few weeks, we've heard lots of the parables, the stories that Jesus told to make his points come across to his disciples. Yesterday we heard of the miracle of the feeding of the 5,000. I'm sure lots of people are very familiar with the passage where Jesus and the crowd, he feeds the crowd with 5 loaves and 2 fish, given to him by, and the bit that I like, by a young lad, a child, gives Jesus the fish and loaves. So the question is, what does the miracle mean to you?
One day, Jesus wanted to be alone. So he went across the lake in a deep boat. But when he arrived, people ran and surrounded him. It was a big crowd. Maybe like 20 people. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 78. The crowd had 5,000 people. The people followed Jesus all day. It was getting late and the people haven't eaten dinner. The people were starving. I'm hungry! We need food! We need food! We need food! So the disciples told the people, go home, eat dinner. Bye-bye, see you tomorrow. But Jesus wanted them to stay. You should give them something to eat, like cherries. The disciples said, what shall we do? Then one of the disciples whispered to Jesus, we only have 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish. So Jesus said, is that so? Bring them here to me. So Jesus lifted the bread and fish in the air, and he said, thank you, God, for this food. Please bless it to our tummies. Yummy, yummy. Amen. Jesus turned them into hundreds of bread and tons of fish. Would you look at that? Whoa, how did he do that? That's awesome. That's amazing. That's so cool. Then Jesus broke the bread and gave it to the people. Wait a minute. If they broke the bread, how could they eat it? Jesus gave the bread to the disciples so they can feed everybody. There was so many fish and so many bread. They could eat as many as they wanted. After eating, everyone was so happy and so full that they couldn't get off the ground. Oh, Mom, I'm so full. The people were starting to go home, and Jesus said, bye-bye. See you later. Hasta vista. The end.
From the mouths of children, Sophia.
I love those kids' Bible videos because they're not the most reverent telling of the Gospels, but it just goes to show that there's something for everyone in Jesus's words. Like, no matter what our age, there's something for us to take away from it. And when I was listening to that reading yesterday when we were watching our Mass, what stood out to me was, like you said, Sandy, that Jesus took the bread and the fish from the crowd, but when Jesus performed that miracle, he didn't just make enough for the crowd so that they were just full. They ate till they were full, and then there was stuff left over afterwards. And I just think it's really powerful that when Jesus performs his miracles, when he moves in our lives as well, it's not just he just does enough just so we can say, oh, okay, that's all I need. It's like abundance. There's more than we could ever need when it comes to Jesus's love. Like, he always gives us more.
And I think this week we've got a challenge, haven't we?
Yeah.
The gospel passage reminds us that God has an abundance of gift for us. So this week, when you feel like you want God to give you something more or something different, pause for a moment and change your mindset to thanking God for the many, many blessings we already have. I just think that's really important, isn't it? That actually what's most important is thanking God for the blessings we already have.
Yeah, especially at the moment when I've been quite complaining over the last few months, saying, why do we have to stay in? And I want to see my friends and I'm a bit bored. But actually, I know that things are very hard for a lot of people, but there's always something good that we can find. When we're about to complain or about to wish for something different, we can always find a moment of hope and light. So I think we'll close with this prayer from Pope Francis. He said, Lord, may you bless the world, give health to our bodies and comfort to our hearts. You ask us not to be afraid, yet our faith is weak and we are fearful. But you, Lord, will not leave us at the mercy of the storms. Tell us again, do not be afraid. And we, together with Peter, cast all our anxieties onto you, for you care about us.
Thank you, Sophie. So that's our first Monday morning live. I'm sure we will improve as we go. But you can always tell when we're on the script, and you can always tell when we're off the script, because both of us are far better when we're off the script. But just to finish by saying a massive big thank you to those of you who watched us. This will go back into our YouTube channel, and it will be there forevermore to watch. We are going to try and now do Monday Morning Live each Monday morning. But there's a but. Next Monday will be Monday Morning Live on Tuesday. So we're going to try it on a Tuesday. There's a couple of reasons for that. One, on a Tuesday we have our whole team working with us, and next week we're going to talk to some of them and find out some of their experiences of the last few weeks, because they've been on furlough, and so it's been a challenging and interesting time for them as well. So we're going to speak to some of them next week. So that will be on Tuesday morning at 11 o'clock. So do join us then for that. Remember, there is always the Clergy Cafe. The Clergy Cafe this week is actually coming from a priest who's not of our diocese. We're going to go to the Archdiocese of Liverpool for next week. The rector of the Beda College, which is one of our seminaries, where we've got some young men from our diocese there studying too. So watch this space for Wednesday night. That'll be quite interesting. So please do, as always, remember to follow us on Instagram, on Twitter and on Facebook. If you haven't already done so, click that it's not a like button, it's a subscribe button on YouTube, and so you will know when we go live next. But we will hopefully see you next Tuesday at 11 o'clock. From me and from Sophie, thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.